Hey guys, welcome to the JetLife Podcast. My name is Tom Lelyo. I'm your ultimate jet guide, and today I'm joined with Alex and Tyler. Thank you very much for being here, guys. Tyler
Absolutely.
from AvSKY Jets, one of the top brokerages in the world, at least in my humble opinion, and moving up the star charts.
Yeah.
Saw that?
Yeah, I did. I check it every now and again.
Yeah.
I think we were tied for 5th on the last I checked.
That's great.
Yeah,
So if you're looking to buy a private jet, there's actually a ranking, if you will, of private jet companies where it's about transactions, number of transactions.
Yep.
And so that's a great question to ask. Like, hey, where are you guys at on the star report? You know, it's a nice feather in your cap for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I would say they could do a little better on, which honestly I don't know how they would do it, but on companies that focus on acquisitions more, they don't keep track of those. So,
so if you help it, yeah, it's true.
So it's only if you had either had the exclusive or if you have bought it and resold it.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the only two ways that they can track it. So there's a couple, for companies that are more acquisition based, that that might hurt their ranking on that, but it's still a good barometer.
I mean, it's one number
for sure,
and obviously for sure.
Yeah.
So we're here talking about how to become a jet broker. What are good things if you're looking to buy a private jet? You're going to run into us brokers. We're all over the place. So how do you spot a good broker? Someone that you can know, like, and more importantly, trust. So Tyler's going to give us some insight into that. So Tyler, tell us about, just real quick, kind of your journey of being a jet broker, because it's the Wild West.
Yeah.
Right. One of the best things about being a private jet broker, there's no licenses or certifications to become one.
Right.
One of the worst things about being a private jet broker is there's no licenses, no certifications to become one. So what was your journey into becoming a jet broker?
Out of high school, I graduated kind of during the Great Recession time frame. So a lot of my buddies went off to college. I felt like I needed to get a job because my family was in construction. That was a terrible time to be in that line of work. So I went out, started looking for jobs. I got my realtor's license. I waited tables, that sort of thing, typical stuff. And then I was just looking through I needed something a little bit more stable, and I was looking through the paper. It was online, but it was not.
I was like, wow,
not the actual
paper.
And I found a brokerage company in Venice, Florida, not far from where I am now. They were hiring. They hired me on.
Did you have any aviation experience?
None. No.
Wow.
But I was only getting paid $8 an hour, so.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a chance. Minimum wage guy. Sure.
Yeah. So just kind of did that. Super grateful for the opportunity. It changed my life. And
out of curiosity, did you start off as a researcher? What did that look like for you?
It was more of, it wasn't so, no, I would say I was just kind of thrown in the fire.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, to kind of, here's a list of people to call, see if you
find
can,
a listing or see
if you can, see if you can figure it out. So that kind of was the situation where I was at, and I was fortunate enough to kind of pop off a couple early, which makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Some people start out and they struggle for a long time before they figure it out. So I was lucky in that sense. And from there, I just kind of decided that I think I could do it on my own. So I started AvSKY Jets.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's been awesome. AvSKY Jets to me it's an inspiration because your story is very similar to mine in terms of someone took a chance on me with no experience in aviation, and then I finally I think you and I have talked about this. If you're an entrepreneur, you just kind of have this drive to have something of your own, and I saw an opportunity, and that's kind of where JetLife came from.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's that feeling of stagnation that kind of like eats at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sense of, if I'm going to work this hard, I'm willing to work that hard for myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, what else can I do?
Yeah.
And so I definitely appreciate that. So you're growing a great team, by the way. See you guys always kind of closing deals, and what really has been impactful for me is the environment, the culture that you're can you speak to the culture that you're trying to cultivate?
Yeah. I did a deal with a guy on a Falcon 50EX, and he made a pretty big impact on me. His name was Phil, and he owned the plane. I went to his house and I met with him, and the doors were wide open. Like, there was just people there. You just almost got the feeling like it was just kind of a family.
Yeah.
And like everyone that works with him, like people that worked with this company were there, and he flies them around on his planes, whatever, takes them to his huge house in St. Pete. But it's just kind of like an open door policy, and like he really just lets them in and like really tries to treat them like family. And I kind of that made an impact on me, and that's kind of the way that I want to be with my people, is, you know, them feel like they're part of a family and not just somebody who works for me, because I don't really look at it that way. It may sound weird, but I kind of look at us all as equals, and we're all just a team trying to sell planes.
Yeah, no,
so
I appreciate that.
That's kind of how I see it.
So what's some advice you might have for someone who's trying to be a private jet broker?
Yeah, starting out?
Just starting out.
Starting out.
First, I guess the first tip would be, I get a lot of questions, is like, how do I get my foot in the door?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, a willingness to work cheap and take a chance. For me, I always appreciate it, and because it's kind of the way I was when I went into it, I've kind of found that people that are willing to take a chance on something tend to be more likely to work out. Someone who's willing to take like Ryan, for example, when he started with me, he was willing to work for nothing. He texted me one night and was like, "Hey, you don't even have to pay me. I'll come work for you." And I ended up paying him.
Right.
But I mean, that's just kind of the mentality and attitude that, to me, that's like, okay, this guy's willing to do it.
Yep.
He's willing to put himself out there. And so, I mean, if you're trying to get in the door, be willing to do that. It's tough if you have a lot of overhead in life. You know, as you get older, you get kids. And houses.
Well, exactly. When I started, I had a whole family.
Exactly.
So
that's
we had
really
to have.
tough.
We were lucky that we had some savings that we could use.
Right.
And I could work for, you know, $500 a week.
Yeah. So that's, you know, it does get tougher with age just because of that component. Yep. But you know, if you can keep your overhead low and be willing to work, cheap and prove that you can do it. I mean, that's the way in. Yeah. Because who's not gonna hire somebody that's willing to bust their ass and work cheap? Like, who's not gonna hire that guy?
Yeah, the thing about that
gal?
too is, even if you say that, like, at the end of the day, someone's got to hire you and you have to prove it.
Yeah.
And so you find out if you're cut out for the business or not.
Yeah.
Because it really is a sink or swim.
Yeah.
Kind of a business.
Yeah.
And it's a simple business. Like, go talk to people, but it's not an easy business because you got to go talk to people.
Yeah.
So for a new broker like myself, what would your one best piece of advice be to be successful? I know you kind of touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, try to have high energy, be willing to work, and then work closely with the people. In your case, work closely with Tom, like hand in hand.
Call you all the time and annoy you a little bit.
Yeah,
exactly.
So like a lot of the new guys that start out, a lot of their deals they get are working with somebody that's kind of been around that might have, you know, for instance, I've got a client for, you name it, you know, they can just go find the other piece of that puzzle instead of having to try to do the whole thing by themselves. So in your case, try to work with people like Tom and not like even people in other companies. We do a lot of deals with other brokers and other companies.
Right.
And that's something I don't think I appreciated enough when I was starting in the business, was making friends in the business.
Yes.
And a guy that works with us, Brennan Cutting, he has really kind of come into his own, and a lot of that is because he's made friends. He does King Airs. He's made a lot of friends with brokers in King Airs, so he does deals with other brokers. You know, and at the end of the day, money's money. So you get the deal, you get paid.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And that's ultimately what matters. Yeah.
So what would your second and third tip be for guys getting started?
You know, I just kind of come back to the simple things of be willing to take the client's call after 5. Mm-hmm. You know, if they call you at 9 o'clock and you got a chance to do something with them, take the call.
Right.
You know, it's not the greatest thing, but it will pay off. Maybe not right away. You know, if you get a phone call, take it. Even if it's uncomfortable, you know, you get an uncomfortable phone call, take it. And you know, I just think that you'll make connections with people, that would have to be it for me.
I love that. No, I really do appreciate that, because that is tough, taking that phone call.
Especially if it's uncomfortable. I've had it before where I know I'm going to pick up this phone and this dude is going to be yelling at me. And you can dodge it.
I just put the phone away from my ear. It's like, I know what this is about. So I'm just gonna.
And you can't. And the thing is, you can do everything right, and you still can't avoid that all the time. So it's not like you've done something necessarily bad, but sometimes you're just in a situation where, you know, unfortunate circumstances and things don't always work out. But take the call, let them talk, even if it's uncomfortable, and then, you know, get past it, and then try to figure something out.
Thank you. Your dad, right? Have you found, I found this, but have you found that dealing with your kids helps you deal with some of your clients sometimes?
That's a good question. I've never even really thought about that.
I feel like sometimes when I have those calls that I know it can be tough, like I just have to, sometimes I just kind of treat it like I'm dealing with my kids. Like, okay, they're gonna cry, but you know.
That's maybe a question to ask me when I have 3 more kids and they're 10 years older, and then I'll be in the same boat as you. But my kids are young.
Yeah, so, that's right.
I mean, I guess in terms of just kind of like maintaining composure.
Exactly. Being cool, calm, and collected.
Right.
Not taking it personally. That's one of the toughest things for me. Like when my kids are young, like really, really young, and I'm getting them in the middle of the night and they're just crying in my face and yelling in my face. I take that really personal. Sometimes. So I've kind of learned as a result.
You know, I actually have another thing that came to mind is, don't always feel like you have to have all the answers. You know, if you, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about before camera, like somebody embellishing. You know, if, you know, try not to go down that road. If you don't know an answer to something, tell them. Even if, like, we're selling a Phenom 300 to a guy that we just met, and the maintenance director comes up and he's like, well, the plane has 3 ETDs, and I just blank stared at him. I'm supposed to know what that means. And instead of trying to, like, you know, dance around it or make something up, just, tell me what that means, and I'll figure, exactly. Just figure out, you know, nobody knows it all, and the guys who pretend they do, it's just, you know, that kind of goes full circle.
Well, and dovetailing off of that, if someone's trying to apply to be a part of your team or, you know, be a broker, what are some of the red flags that you'll see? Obviously, embellishing, you know, is one of the things. Is there anything else that you've kind of seen in your travels that you're just like, I don't think that person's gonna be a good fit? Or maybe something they tell you, or you see something on the resume, and you're just like, I'm just not sure if they would be a good fit in the broker industry. You know, like,
so
what it takes.
For me, I don't know if this is widespread throughout the industry or if it's company specific, but for us, the ability to gel and have chemistry with other people in the room is, to me, more important than anything else, because, like, sometimes we can be like a locker room, football locker, you know what I mean? And we so it's like, you gotta be, there's a certain type of, you gotta be like thick skin, you can take a joke, you know. So to me, it's more of chemistry than it is any sort of technical expertise or anything like that. I mean, you could have somebody like, and I think that even kind of applies into like athletic teams, football teams, basketball teams. You can have a star player, but if they don't gel with the team, you know, you're gonna, it's just, you know, not gonna work out quite as well. And I think you see, you know, on the flip end of that, you can see no-name athletes go to the right team and flourish. And I think a lot of that is just chemistry with the team. So
no, that's a great point. Coming into a brokerage, how are you going to gel with the team? So set yourself up for success coming into it. Like, here's how I work with the team. And you're going to be doing deals with other people. You know, for a long time, it sounds like it was similar to you. For a long time, for me, my head was so far down on my deals and my clients that I didn't really go out and meet a lot of other brokers unless they happened to be on the other side of the phone, because it was their client that was calling in. So, you know, being a team player, going out there and finding more people to work with, it's really important.
No doubt.
So, kind of wrapping up, if someone is a first-time buyer, or if they're looking to buy a jet, they got to call a broker. What are some tips that you have to help them work with a broker?
Can you rephrase rephrase the question.
Yeah. So, for example, if I'm calling a broker,
Yeah, and you're a first-time buyer.
if I'm a first-time buyer is calling me, a couple of things I would like to tell them. What would you like to tell buyers? Is another way to put it. So for me, I would like to tell them, please give me the tail number or the serial number of the jet you're calling on, not just the year, make, and model, because I might have a lot of different citations.
Yeah,
that, I don't know all the year, makes, and models off the top of my head. So registration number is huge. Tell me your story. Why are you looking to buy? Why now?
Yeah.
Have you looked at something new or something older? I'd like to tell you, it'd be really helpful if you're going to be financing this. Have you already talked to your lender?
Yeah.
Have you looked into taxes? Have you looked into hangers? Have you looked into the whole story of what we're looking at?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what your timeline is. So those kinds of things help inform a broker and help me serve you better. So what might be some other things that you would like to tell buyers that, hey, if you could help me out here, we could have a better transaction?
Yeah. To be honest, I have stopped asking questions. I don't know if that, I know it might not be the answer you're looking for, but I have started just kind of like taking people at their word. Somebody calls and says, hey, I want to buy this. I tend not to ask as many questions, and I tend to tell them, here's the plane, send me an offer.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like, all those things that you talk about are super important. I have kind of noticed that if people, like, they'll ask you. So, like, okay, I like the plane, I'll make you an offer, but I don't have a bank.
Yeah, or I don't have a bank,
Yeah, so those things for me, and I don't know, it's probably just a difference of like style.
Sure.
I don't think there's any right or wrong way.
No, I agree.
For me personally, I'd probably just tell them, send me an offer.
Yeah. No, and I think there's value to that because, some buyers are just, that's exactly how they'll buy stuff. If I like it, I'll send you an offer.
Yeah.
They don't want to be like an inquisition.
Yeah.
Right? Like they called just to get the price.
Yeah.
And they don't want 50 million questions prying into their business. Like if I'm interested, I'll engage you again.
Well, and some of that you can tell
that
pretty quick.
Yeah,
okay, this is somebody who needs me to walk them through it.
Yep.
Or no, this guy he's ready to go.
Right.
Yeah. So I think some of that you can kind of gauge.
Yep.
And that's kind of an art that you kind of learn over time. That is not a science, but that's something you figure out.
Have there been any, what tips would you offer for buyers that might be red flags for brokers? So for example, I don't know if you've seen this lately.
Yes, I know.
But like,
I know the number one red flag.
But I don't know if you've seen this lately, but I feel like this year, for whatever reason, I've had people tell me they've made offers on planes that don't exist. I've had brokers solicit or present other brokers' exclusive listings. Okay. Inflating prices.
Yeah, of course.
Like, what else? What are you seeing in the market that you can kind of help for buyers? So,
I think going back to the first question of what is a red flag to a broker.
Oh, okay, yeah.
If a buyer calls me and says they're buying more than one airplane, I just hang up on them.
I've been there, yep.
We're gonna buy 30 airplanes this year before the end. Yeah, okay. Let me give you a number of somebody else you can talk to.
I'll give you Tom's number. He specializes in that.
It seems to me that people that are ready to buy know what they want.
Sure.
They're going after one thing. That's what they're gonna get. And that's what they want. So like when people start going off on tangents, like, oh yeah, buying this and that. That to me is a red flag. And from a buyer's perspective of red flags, I would say always be a little hesitant when somebody sends you kind of like an airplane that, going back to making offers on airplanes that don't exist. If it's a broker that you have no idea who they are and they send you a plane without a tail number without a serial number, and you don't know them.
No presence online,
and there's
you
no
Google
presence.
them. Yeah,
that is very sketchy.
Yeah.
But you know, there are a lot of legitimate brokers, and even we do it. We send planes off market without tail numbers, so that's not to discredit that.
No.
But if, like you said, if it's somebody that you don't know and they've got no like presence, you can't really pin down who they are, and they're sending you that, that's a red flag.
If they start asking for payments up front, banking information, familiar with JetCraft.
Yeah.
I got a call, somebody called me and they're like, hey, JetCraft has this jet. They just want me to send all this information.
Okay.
We looked at it. This scammer had spoofed the entire JetCraft website. So instead of like jetcraft.com, it was jetcraft.org or something like
sure.
And the logo was exactly the same and everything to a T.
Wow.
And then when I called JetCraft about the aircraft, they were like, yeah, we have the aircraft, but not through this channel.
Wow.
And it was a complete spoof. So another red flag.
Absolutely. Check your websites.
Yeah, check your websites. Exactly. Great. Well, Tyler, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
And for more information, where can people find out more about AvSKY Jets, the deals you got going on? This is a broker that you can know, you can like, you can trust. So please, if you're looking for a private jet, you can definitely hit up AvSKY Jets.
Appreciate it. Yeah. And not just me, any one of us.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all over the place.
So
AvSKYJets.com.
AvSKYJets.com. Yep.
Perfect.
Easiest way to find us.
Thanks, guys. We'll catch you later.